Hi everybody, wanted to take a little bit and put together a video kind of showcasing the watercolor assortment that is available through August 31st. Stampin' Up put together a wonderful combination of watercolor pencils, colors from the 2018 revamp. Some colors I'm really happy to see in there. The range of blues and greens is awesome, and it's a really nice complement to the watercolor set that they had put out. Today I'm going to use just the Daffodil Delight from the original set, and then we'll be using, I'm not sure if I'll go Balmy Blue or Coastal Cabana, but in the cards that you see, I used the Balmy Blue in that set and Coastal Cabana here, and then I decided I liked the Flirty Flamingo on the orchids and Granny Apple Green on the leaves. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I think they call it Assortment 2. Yeah, Assortment 2 of the watercolor pencils is only for sure available until the end of the month. I know a lot of people have been giving Stampin' Up feedback that they would like to see those available again, maybe in the next catalog. But in any event, we're only for sure able to get them for a couple more days, and bonus days runs for just a couple more days. So the bonus days for every 50 you spend through August 31st, and that is your subtotal. But for every 50 you spend, you'll get a $5 bonus day coupon that you can use through the month of September. So they send you an email with a code, and then all through September there will be a prompt for you to enter that code at checkout, keeping in mind that September 5th, the holiday catalog goes live for everybody, and there are amazing things in that. So what I did here in August, I went ahead and ordered up a couple things, like you see my new watercolor pencils in the assortment too, but I also kind of looked forward to Christmas and ordered up Whisper White cardstock, heavyweight Whisper White cardstock. Envelopes are an easy thing to forget. Dimensionals, and some of the colors that I know I'll be using, traditional holiday colors, and I always love my blues. So then I've got looking forward to using my bonus day coupons here pretty soon. But wanted to get this out so you guys could see how easy these watercolor pencils are to use, and the awesome results that you give. The other thing we're going to be using today, and I'll just set this aside, is the Varied Vases stamp set. So super cute. Not only the kind of design that you see that I'm using in these cards, but there's some pattern vases. You can ink and stamp the solid fill to the vases. You could use this by itself. It's just been a really surprisingly versatile and really elegant set. And it also, we're not going to be using it today, but if you do the bundle comes with a punch. So great goodies. But let's get going on this card front. Since I already made a couple, I've got my Stamparatus all set up, and I've got some watercolor paper. I've got this cut 3.5 by 4 1/4, and you know, I did a few and decided that I actually like the smooth side a little bit better. The rough side, the side that has a little more tooth, let's see, this card, I have the rough side up, and I hope you can see it makes a little bit of a texture on the vases, which I think is kind of pretty. But I really wanted to kind of show off where the transparent vases, oops, Sorry, you might hear the new puppy. But where, you know, if these vases were colored glass, where they overlap and you see like that little bit of color transition. And I think that shows a little bit better with it working on the smooth side of the watercolor paper. One of the joys to the watercolor paper is that you can do that, but it's also thick enough that if you work one side and you're not totally sure, you can just flip it over and use the other. It takes a lot before you bleed through on the watercolor paper. So since we are gonna do a little bit of blending, we're gonna be using StArt ink. We could also use the Stampin' Up! Basic Black, but they have transitioned to where they're offering StArt now. So we'll get busy getting this stamped up and put to good use. Nice thing too about the Stamparatus is that, you know, if the ink isn't dark enough, you don't like something, it is perfect. No, I think that pad is a little dry, so I'm gonna go to my backup here. There we go, much better. And then I do, when I'm working with multiple sides of the Stamparatus using the plates like this, I do try to just kind of clean up real quick so I don't contaminate, you know, my fingers or papers where I don't want, but I'll just super quick flip that and get these down. Very nice. My chamois seen better days, but still works just fine. And, oh, yep. Need a little bit more on that side in particular. Try that again. Very nice. Oh, the other thing with these photopolymer stamps, when I was getting this all set up, I wanted the stems of the flowers to have a little bit of play, so I actually gave that little curve to the orchid and the leaves. And that's one of the nice things about the Stamparatus and the photopolymer. You can see through, line everything up just how you like it. Like I said, I kind of bent the stems on these to give them a little more of a curve or an arch, and away we went. The one thing you do want to know about photopolymer in the Stamparatus, I did add a little bit of foam so that I get even, and you know, see how this one stamped really well, like right against the edge of the Stamparatus. You might struggle a little bit to get that if you are working on just this pad that comes with the Stamparatus. So I recruited this from acrylic block storage case, but you could also use like these foamies. See if I can show you. These are adhesive back. I had them for a Halloween project, but something like that brings that up nice and even and makes it easy. So all right, we've got that all stamped up. Pardon my reach, and we'll get going. I think I will go ahead and use Balmy Blue, and all I'm gonna do is color with the watercolor pencil, And even on the smooth side of the watercolor paper, you see these, boy, I hope I wasn't leaning in and had my forehead in your way. You see like the highs and low spots, and that is just fine. And then with the these little flowers, I just really quickly went around and gave spots of color. You do get a little bit more interest if you leave white highlights on really pretty much anything, preserving that little bit of white in the watercolor paper can end up looking a little more natural. So that was my balmy blue, and I'll go ahead and do Granny Apple Green here, and I'm just going to color right over the balmy blue from the previous vase and get that Granny Apple Green just laid down like that. And I wanted to keep a pretty simple palette. I thought the Varied Vases are, I think, pretty elegant, and I didn't want it to get too busy by putting too many colors. So you can notice me kind of just using that same color and pulling it into the top portion. And again, I purposefully left some white there so I can blend the color a little bit. And then my Daffodil Delight. And again, I'm just gonna quickly lay down the color, overlap it there where you're looking at the layers, like a little Venn diagram there where they cross. I don't know why, but that just kind of makes me happy. And then lay that color. If I want, I can bring a little of that yellow here with the green and the leaves, just here and there. And then I did for the orchids, I love the way orchids kind of transition their color. So I just put a little pink towards the inside, and you know how orchids are so beautiful and lovely with those color transitions. So I did a little of that idea. And again, you can tell I'm not being particularly careful about it. Just set my magnets out of the way. And then you could use, if you have aqua painters, you could use your aqua painter to blend the colors. As tiny as those flowers are and the detail on the orchids, I decided I'd go ahead and use a blender pen. So I believe these are sold in sets of 3, and they hold a very nice tight point. So, and then you can see the tips might get a little bit stained. It really doesn't play because there's liquid in there. And as long as you give it, you might catch me just doing something quick like that with my fingers, or give it a little, a couple brush strokes on some scrap paper. You'll be fine. And I'm just going to start with the yellow because it's the lightest color. And again, I hope I'm not leaning in on you too much. I'll know in a little bit. But see how that just takes that color and it just smooths it over. And again, you don't have to be fantastically accurate. It's not that tricky. So after I did the yellow, then I'm gonna do this color blend between the two. And if you're worried, you could clean a little of that extra yellow off. To be honest, I just moved on to the solid green when I was doing the examples earlier. And just smooth that through. I do wait until I have that green face done, except for the overlap, before I move to the overlap. And just make that a little smoother. And then here, just kind of trying to make the point that that's where those colors would overlap. And so I'll take a little of the green off of that before I go to the blue vase and just blend everybody in. Watercolor is just so much fun and so relaxing to work with. So there's that. And then you can even see I left a couple of these little flowers just white. When you move the blender pen around, it'll move a little bit of color. So I didn't need to be, I think I'm going to leave the top half of that little heart shape just plain white, like a little highlight. But yeah, I didn't need to be super careful with this. It's going to look awesome. And then I'll clean that, pull that color off before I move. Wouldn't be horrible to have like a little blue shadow on some of these green to yellow leaves. And again, I'm just kind of using the blender pen to move that color. And then if you look real close, you'll see those transitions from a little bit more saturated. Now I am going to use the other side of the blender pen. I tend to keep, you know, reds and oranges separate from like blues and greens because the complementary color idea where they'll wash each other out. And so I don't want to pull green into this. And then I can just blend out that pretty pink. Pull it through more or less of the petal. Whatever seems right. And there it is. Fun. So much fun. So that's that for the watercoloring. And then to finish out the cards, I do tend to use Tombow when my much loved and grungy looking bottle. But I tend to use the Tombow when I'm putting watercolor paper to the cardstock base. And then the hello, along with the birthday wishes and thanks, here I put it on the bottom, were all part of the Varied Vase stamp set. So I just stamped those out and you know, cut them on some scrap watercolor paper, and then used I don't see a little scrap, but then I put the end in and used the edge of the hex punch to make that nice pennant, and popped them up on dimensionals with a little bit of gold thread. Here I've got some baker's twine with the flirty flamingo, and so thanks. The You Are Simply the Best also is in the same stamp set with Varied Vases, and the birthday wishes, hoping your day blooms with happiness. So, and then I always take a little something on the envelopes. So in this case, I just popped a little flower and away you go. So that's everything going on with the watercolor pencils, and hope you guys get a chance to take advantage of the bonus days. And as always, you can get in touch with me. You can request to join the Facebook group or email me, and let me know if you have any questions. But thanks.